Our theme for today's discussion is one of the greatest the world has ever faced: the energy transition needed to address the climate crisis. This brings me to our three panelists, remarkable people who are at the forefront of these efforts. Professor Alison Smith is Professor of Plant Biochemistry and Head of the Department of Plant Sciences at the University of Cambridge. Gates scholar Sandile Metatwa is a PhD student in the Department of Chemistry, whose research interests include the use of green hydrogen as a clean energy carrier. She also serves as chair of Africans in STEM. Gates scholar Ramit Debnath is a PhD student in the Department of Architecture and a computational social scientist. His research focuses on energy and climate justice in the built environment using data science. He deploys machine learning and AI to inform sustainability and policy decisions for climate repair. It's a big, hard question, but what does a just energy transition actually look like in the areas that you work in?
It really has to be striking a balance between how much fossil fuels you have and how much renewables you have in your energy mix. In Ghana or in a lot of African countries, it is not probably going to be 100% renewables anytime soon, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a very local, nuanced, and very specific idea of what transition means. And I think each country, especially in Africa, should be able to define for themselves what that means to them.
So, I mean, historical inequalities here are really continuing to play out, and it forces a much more nuanced analysis at the local and national levels. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Alison, for you, clean power, what does it mean?
Well, I think one of the most important things that I've come to realize is the idea of circularity, that producing something in a linear fashion, which is the essential basis of our economy, to maximize the productivity and reduce costs is not sustainable. And going forward, we actually have to think about how we have a single input. In my case, it would be the solar energy from the sun. And then what you want to do is to generate products, but not produce waste streams. And by being a bit more innovative, perhaps focusing less on maximizing productivity, overall, the sustainability of the process will be better. I mean, it might be a little bit more expensive initially, but I hope that the increase in sustainability eventually would mitigate those extra costs.
Ramit, what about in the places that you work? How would you see a just energy transition?
I think it's a very interesting question, because that's what my examiners asked 2 days back. It's the first question.
He's just had his PhD examination and passed, so we should all be congratulating him too. It's great news.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I think it's very similar to what Sandile said. And for me, I had a very close experience with that you need to contextualize the problems and bring it up to the ones who are responsible for placing up the policies. That for some communities, just transition means just getting reliable electricity 24/7. And for some, it means getting the liquefied petroleum gas in the kitchen as a clean form of energy, in my cases. And for some, it's the ability to pay bills right on time. So these things are often looked into the broader, not looked into the broader discussions of just transition, but from a very bottom-up and grounded point of view, just transition would include adding more contexts to these problems.
You know, with the idea of COVID, a lot of things changed overnight. If people could actually see firsthand of what really climate change means, global warming and all of that, I think people would act.